This is one of Fitness Blender's fast bodyweight workouts for the upper body. In this workout routine, we're only going to be going through one round of 10 different exercises. Each exercise we're going to do for 30 seconds, and to make sure we're moving along nice and quickly, the only rest you're going to get is the time it takes to move from one exercise to the next. Like the title says, this is the bodyweight workout, so we're not going to need any equipment for this except for an optional exercise mat. So let's go ahead and get started with our first exercise, the Rhomboid Squeezes. Go ahead and bring those arms straight up in front of your chest. You want to keep those arms relatively parallel to the ground, extending out away from you, pushing against yourself, and then squeezing those arms back, working against yourself again as you pull those elbows back behind you. Now try to keep those forearms relatively parallel to the ground as you go through this motion. Try to get as much of a stretch forward through those shoulders as you can and a nice tight squeeze with those elbows back behind you. Just keep alternating back and forth. Make sure all those muscles of that upper body are nice and tight, as well as those core muscles and even those legs. Moving to bicep curls next. And go ahead and switch it. Get that elbow directly underneath that shoulder joint. Nice tight squeeze, curling that hand up to that shoulder, then slowly extending it back out to a full extension and making sure you're keeping that arm really nice and solid, working against yourself in both directions. Make sure that bicep and that tricep are contracted, that shoulder joint, that chest, and that upper back. Now the key to this routine is making sure you push against yourself as hard as you can. The more you push against yourself, the harder you make yourself work, the more you're going to get out of this routine. The more toning you're going to get out of it, the more calorie burn you're going to get out of it. All right, we're moving to arm circles next. Those arms come straight out from those shoulders. You make a nice small circle about 2 inches above and 2 inches below that shoulder joint. Just a nice even pace. Don't just swing those arms around. You want them completely rigid the entire time. That elbow nice and straight. That shoulder joint completely contracted, controlling all that motion. But you want that chest nice and tight, that upper back nice and tight, that bicep and tricep contracted, working against themselves, as well as keeping those core muscles contracted, sucking that belly button in, and even contracting those legs to get the most out of this. All right, we're going to be switching directions. Just reverse the circle on that arm. Same exact position. Arm nice and rigid, shoulder contracted. Now the difference between burning 2 calories a minute with this and burning up to 8 calories a minute with this is how hard you're contracting those muscles. You can actually burn a ton of calories and make yourself toned nice and quick if you just make sure you keep every single one of those muscles contracted as tightly as you possibly can the entire time. It's really low impact, but it's very, very effective at toning and at burning calories. All right, let's go ahead and move on to those tricep push ups. Now you can do these either off of your knees or off your toes, but try to pick the hardest version you can control. Just get them going. Keep those elbows tucked nice and tight to your rib cage as you drop down. That's what makes this a tricep push-up, is by keeping those elbows tucked in really nice and close to that torso. If you let them kick out a little bit more, it starts focusing more on that chest, less on those triceps. Just keep it going. Nice straight line from your shoulder to your knee if you're doing the half version like Kelly is, or if you're doing the full version, you want a nice straight line from that shoulder all the way down to that ankle. And go ahead and let it relax. We're going to do a plank row next, so go ahead and come all the way up onto those toes and those hands to a full push-up position. And start stepping back and forth with those feet. As you step to the left, you're going to pull your right arm up. As you step to the right, you're going to pull your left arm up. Now try to constantly be working against yourself as you're doing that row motion with that arm. As you squeeze it back behind you, you want to be trying to constantly push down. And as you're pushing that arm back down to the ground, you want to be constantly trying to pull it back. Just keep trying to focus on getting those arms to work as hard as they possibly can, much harder than they actually have to for this exercise. And just a few seconds left. And let it relax. Let's go ahead and move to the next one, which is going to be a side push-up. So go ahead and lay down on your right side. You're actually using that left arm to do this motion, so wrap that right arm around your waist, left arm in front of your shoulder, press that palm down into the ground, lifting those shoulders up off the ground as high as you possibly can. Now try not to use that right arm at all for help. You want everything to be coming just from that left arm, trying to get a full extension of that arm every single time. You're going to feel this quite a bit through your chest, especially right through the center line of your chest. Now just keep those core muscles really nice and tight, keep those arm muscles contracted, those leg muscles contracted, try to get a little more work out of this. Got just a few seconds left. And let it relax. Let's go ahead and switch sides. Same exact thing on the opposite side. So laying on your left side this time with that right arm up in front of your shoulder. Left hand's going to be wrapped around that waist. And start up. Pressing those shoulders up off the ground as high as you possibly can. Try to get to a full extension of that arm. You don't want to actually lock that elbow out all the way, but you want to get as straight as you possibly can without actually locking it. Just keep this motion going. Nice tight core. Keeping everything contracted to that body. Try to get a little more of a calorie burn out of it, a little bit more toning effect out of it. And just a few seconds left. Keep it going. And let it relax. We're going to switch to tricep dips next. So come around on your back. Up on those feet and hands. Drop those hips down, bending those elbows as much as you can without letting those hips touch. Trying to get as much of a range of motion on that elbow as possible. Really trying to work those tricep muscles. Just dip down as much as you can, keeping those core muscles nice and tight, keeping those leg muscles nice and tight. Now make sure you're not letting that shoulder joint overextend. You don't want to have a real tight stretching feeling in that shoulder joint. You want to keep it as stationary as possible without getting too much of a stretch in there. And go ahead and let it relax. We're going to switch around to just traditional push-ups next, so either off those knees or off those toes. Those elbows are going to kick out nice and wide for this one. Keep a nice straight line from your shoulder to your knee for that half version, or from that shoulder all the way down to that ankle for that full version. Just keep those abdominal muscles nice and tight. I know those arms are probably getting nice and tired by this point, so keep your form as solid as you can. Now, this is your last exercise for this routine, so make sure that you're really pushing yourself on this one. Make sure you don't have anything left. Those muscles are completely dead by the time you're done with these repetitions. You only have a few seconds left. And let it relax. Nicely done. This workout is complete. You just finished another one of Fitness Blender's quick upper body workouts.